Friday in Tryon, North Carolina, and let's shut this door behind me here. It's continuing our study on selecting leaders and the wisdom that's needed in leaders and the qualities of leaders. We've gone through, I think, 8 different hot button topics. We realize that very few of the leaders that we're electing today follow the requirements for a good Christian leader. We've also seen that issues are never simple. If they were simple, it would have simple answers. And then some of these hot button issues affect different people in different ways. And therefore we have very prejudicial, bias kinds of thoughts about the issues. And the best thing to do is to really ask yourself, what is the scriptural basis for your belief? And is it scriptural? And then which leader best reflects the right answers to these problems, and which party platform best addresses these issues as you think they should be addressed. Lots of opinion, and we won't agree on all of these things. I try to be as impartial as I can. I try to read and study as much as I can, and try to take the middle of the road and try to present both sides as impartially as I can. Realize I'm not always totally impartial, because I do have some very strong feelings about some of these issues. But tonight's issue is the budget and taxes. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is the servant to the lender." Let me say the second part again. The borrower is the servant to the lender. Our country is continuing to pile up deficit spending at an incredible rate. We borrow more money than we pay back, and as a result our debt gets greater and greater. And I remember a good friend of mine, a preacher, who used to say all the time, when your output exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. And that is exactly what's going to happen to America eventually. It has to. You cannot continually spend more than you make, and you cannot continually go to deficit spending. And you can't provide every service to every individual, nor can the people that are working provide all of the benefits that everybody would like to have that don't want to work or can't work. And sometime or another, our country and our people have to come to that conclusion. We can't continue to provide every service and every benefit that everybody would like to have who doesn't want to work and can't work. And we have to, at some point in time, take a hard look at a lot of the issues of today. The deficit spending, fair tax laws that give people an equal amount of the burden, and the more you're blessed, the more you should be willing to share. Everybody says that. Nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Everybody says, well, the richest people should carry a bigger portion, and then it becomes who defines who the richest people are. Bottom line is, it usually winds up that the middle income people wind up carrying most of the burden in a proportion to how much they make, versus those that make ridiculous salaries that would be hard to spend the interest on. Nevertheless, putting all of the burden on the rich and trying to redistribute the wealth of America is also unfair and is non-American as you can possibly get, because we feel like if you work hard and you work longer and you work harder, and you really do use your intelligence to make money, you shouldn't be penalized for having done that when somebody else sits back and then says, I want everything just handed to me. I want my schooling, I want my medical, I want my phones, I want my food stamps, I want all of my needs met and above some. Somebody told me recently in a study, it showed that people on welfare often, with all of the benefits they receive, have the equivalent of a $60,000 salary. Well, that just doesn't seem just to me, that somebody that's working hard that makes $50,000 or $60,000 a year should be supporting somebody who doesn't work and doesn't want to work to that kind of a benefit package. Nevertheless, so we have deficit spending, which is going to catch up with America. We have fair tax laws, and then we have foreign aid. Can we get it to the people that need it, or will it all get siphoned off by the governments of some of these third world countries that we're trying to help? Would we be better to give even more tax incentives to private party groups that are working in these countries, who don't have the horrendous overhead of the U.S. government and who seem to be able to get down to the people and dig wells and provide food and schooling? Should we be doing more through private organizations, religious organizations, faith-based organizations, do-good organizations? Should we be doing more through them and less through the federal government, so that we cut out the foreign government siphoning off these funds? Or are there some countries we shouldn't even be giving foreign aid to, and put that money towards reducing the deficit and reducing the spending that America has? These are, again, difficult questions, but again, if you take a look at them on an ABC basis, if we just look at 20% of the items that we spend money on as a government, and focus in on taking out the corruption and the waste out of those 20% of the items that we spend money on, we would control 80% of our spending. And there's no question in my mind, there's horrendous waste, horrendous corruption in our governmental system that needs to be cleaned up. And that's why we need good leaders, leaders who will uphold the law, the Constitution, and who will take and be willing to take a look at fair and just taxation, fair and just foreign aid, and use the qualities that we said you should find in a leader. Take a look at the leaders, take a look at their past performance, take a look at their present performance, take a look at what they promised to do and how they plan to do it. Look at the party's platforms and see which candidates meet the requirements of what you believe the Bible teaches. And remember, our controlling principle here is that we want to be treating our neighbors as we'd want to be treated ourselves. And at the same time, we don't want to reward the lazy. Look at the ant and see how industrious it is. And a little folding of the hands, a little sleep here and there leads to poverty. So remember that the rich ruleth over the poor, and borrowing is making the servant, making the borrower a servant to the lender. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.